Hey guys, Captain Dylan Hubbard here at Hubbard's Marina, and it's time for that live stream show. Welcome y'all to the live stream show. It's Sunday nights, and it is Sunday night, January 21st. We are kicking off the live stream show that we do every Sunday night right here on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook page. Hopefully you guys are excited for a great show. Hopefully you're excited to talk fishing and have a good time tonight. We got a lot of stuff lined up for you, a lot of stuff to talk about, and we're going to answer your questions live during the show as well. So hopefully you're excited for a good time as always during our Sunday night live stream show. We always kind of kick things off by talking a little bit about what's going on now, show you photos of what we're catching, then we talk about the weather. Then we get into some announcements and then your questions. If you have a question that you want answered live during the show, you do have to text us your question to the phone number at the bottom of the screen. Texting your questions is how you get them answered. If you pop a question into the chat, we're streaming on multiple different Facebook pages, on YouTube, on Trovo, on Twitch, all over the place, and we won't see your comment most likely. So in order to make sure we see your question and get it a chance to answer it, make sure you text it to the phone number at the bottom of the screen. That's how you get your question answered live during the show, and that's how we make sure we see your questions as well. Now, finally, want to make sure we give a shout out to our friends over there at Gator Jim's Tackle. This show was brought to you by Gator Jim's Tackle. They're at 3301 Pinellas Point Drive South in St. Pete. If you haven't gotten a chance to stop by and see our friends at Gator Jim's Tackle, make sure you do so. Also, while there, if you bring a young angler with you, tell them Hubbard's Marina sent you, and the young angler in your life will get a free gift. So make sure you tell them Hubbard's Marina sent you, and make sure you say hello to our friends over at Gator Jim's Tackle, and tell them thanks for making the show possible. Also, want to make sure we give a shout out to our supporters in our supporters group who help kind of make the world go round for us here at Hubbard's Marina, specifically for the live show front and some of our online directives. So thank you for being a part of our supporters group. That gives you access to our private supporters club, behind the scenes information, a little bit more connectivity, some extra perks, plus you get access to our private supporters after show. That happens directly after the main show. We start our supporters show, which typically starts around 8:45 p.m. right after this show ends. We talk a little bit more in depth about what's going on and answer their questions even a little bit more in depth as well. So check out the supporters group. It's a great value at only $4.99 a month. Then finally, want to make sure we give a shout out to all those send-in stars. Stars are a way for those watching on Facebook to show their support, and it helps kind of make things possible for us as well, and helps kind of fuel the show. So big shout out to Jasmine Marie with a big 100 stars, Larry White with a big 500 stars, James McCullum with 500 stars. Thank you, my friend. We had Sam Lang with 490 stars, Ryan Kelly with 50 stars, and Angie Darling as well. Plus, we had a few others that I'm seeing here are not appearing on my list, so let me make sure we get everybody. Stephen Batchelor with 200. Thank you, buddy. Keith White, we appreciate you as well with your 50. Is that 50, Josh? Is that what you're trying to say over there? Also, Craig Robinson, what's up, my friend? Richard Blazak, Stephen Batchelor, Craig again. Gary Camage, what's going on, my friend? Tim McCardle, appreciate you, buddy. Frank Pender, Charles Cardle, John Bull, what's going on? LaShonda Brown, Ed Mack, appreciate you guys all for the stars and help on the show tonight. And Jeff Reedy with a big 1,205 stars. Thank you, my friend, very much. And all right, let's get into some photos and show you guys what we've been catching. And then from there, we'll talk a little bit about the weather, what's coming up now, And then from there, we'll get into your questions. Hopefully, you guys have some good questions for us tonight. We look forward to answering whatever questions you might have live during the show as well. D Beers, appreciate those stars. Ed Mack, what's up, buddy? Thank you very much as well. All righty. Now, photos. We'll start inshore, then we'll work our way offshore. We don't have a ton of near shore and offshore photos, so those will go kind of quick. But we have some nice inshore photos to show you. It's been a little bumpy as of late, so we unfortunately don't have a ton of photos to show you. But we will get you what we got. We'll show you what we got. Definitely some nice flounder have been caught lately. We're seeing a lot of these flounder around those potholes, those sandy edges. You can often catch them close to rock piles as well. If you're bouncing around those rock piles for sheep's head, you might catch one of these flounder as you kind of get off into the sandy edges. Also around the flats, those potholes, those cuts, any sandy bottom near structure or near a grass flat is a good place to find some flounder. The redfish action's been going really well as of late around the docks, the mangrove shorelines, the oyster bars. A lot of the schoolie-sized redfish are being caught right now. This one's a larger one. We are starting to see some of those big bulls being pulled out. They are kind of cruising in smaller groups, not super grouped up yet, but they're getting there. These are kind of more of the schoolie-sized redfish we're seeing a lot of as of late around docks, piers, bridges, jetties. Soft plastics working really, really well. Also slow-moving swim baits. Definitely shrimp is a good idea this time of year. As it's cold, they get a lot more kind of dialed into the crustacean bite. So shrimp is definitely a good one as well for these redfish. And sheep's head. The sheep's head bite has been insane as of late. A lot of sheep's head around the docks, piers, bridges, jetties, rock piles. A lot of the structure of the area holding these massive sheep's head. Barnacles are a great way to kind of chum them up. Also, apparently corn, from what we've heard as of late. And we're seeing most of these things caught with the fiddler crabs. You can also catch them using barnacles, cut clams, cut oysters. You can use them. You can use a variety of different baits. Often a small chunk of shrimp on a smaller hook is a great way to target them and catch them. The snook action is still going on, but it is a little bit tougher. You got to really hunt after them, find them in the back bay and upper bay waters. A lot of people find these tarpon while they're looking for the snook in the back bay waters. You can find some of these tarpon in the back country, way up there in the creeks, rivers, bayous, where those snook are hiding out, trying to stay a little warm. So we're seeing some of those back country tarpon being caught as well. The speckled trout bite has been real good lately. A lot of those mirror lure, mirrodines work well. Soft plastic, the mirror lure provokers, the paddle tails, all good options. Now we get into the near shore stuff. We're seeing a lot of these catch and release gag grouper. Got a nice big gag on the half day the other day too. Private charters are avoiding them. The 12-hour extreme is avoiding them as well. We are unfortunately running into some catch and release gags, but they're still fun to catch. We're seeing lots of this, the hogfish near shore. Hogfish action is going well. Look at the size of this lane snapper. It is absolutely massive. Massive lane snapper from the half-day trip the other day. That was in 40 foot of water. 40 foot of water, caught on squid too. Absolutely huge lane snapper. And we've been seeing some pretty good size lane snapper. Not all like that size, of course, but we're seeing quite a few lane snapper in that near shore area. A lot of those hogfish in that near shore area. And occasionally we might get a mangrove snapper as well. And this week we have some good opportunities to go fishing for sure. So let's talk a little bit about that. Show you guys some of the weather and what we have coming up weather-wise for sure, because we're excited. Going to warm up finally. You're going to have to, it's going to be that fake spring is what we call it. Early summer, fake spring. D Beers, want to make sure we give you a shout out. Thank you for those 1,200 stars. Don Shuitt as well. Appreciate those 400 stars. And then D actually sent 1,400 stars because she hit us twice. Thank you, D. And Mike, hopefully you guys are doing well. Let's get into the weather and show you guys what's going on with the weather. As we pop over to hubbardsmarina.com, we're going to click fishing trips. Then we're going to hit the weather links page. On our weather links page, we're going to hit that 5 and 10 hour forecast area and look at our Egmont Key buoy. First, you can see all that dark blue. Finally, I can sit here during a live show and be somewhat excited and happy to tell you that we have some dark blues and some light blues. It's been a while since we've seen that many dark blues and light blues in one of these live shows when we talk a little bit about the weather. So I'm excited to tell you that we have a nice weather window coming up with some nice near shore and onshore weather. Still going to be a little bumpy offshore, so check this out. See all the dark blues and light blues? This is the Egmont Key Channel entrance. This is 16 miles to our southwest. We're going to pop out here and look at our St. Pete offshore buoy. This one's in deep water, about 100 miles out there to our southwest. You can see there's a lot more greens and a lot more light blues. It's going to be a lot more breezy and bumpy offshore. So really this week, offshore and deep water, not going to be that calm, unfortunately. Not going to be that nice of a weather window. But if you look near shore in that hogfish area, nice weather. So we'll take it. We'll take it, right? This is, you got to take the positive. As you can see here, today, not so great. Couldn't go fishing. Tomorrow, we're going to be able to go fishing. It's going to be breezy, blowing a lot. It's going to be overcast. Still going to be pretty chilly, but it's going to be out of the east. So we'll be able to go fishing, and it won't be too bad in that hogfish area for the half-day trip. Tuesday, still extremely breezy, but not too bumpy because of that east wind. Seas start to shift out of the south, and still not too breezy. Still plenty fishable, 2.5 foot basically. Thursday, still staying pretty darn breezy, but still only about 2.5 foot. And same thing with Friday. It's breezy, but 2.5 foot. So then it finally starts to calm down pretty nice. Saturday, low winds. Saturday looks like the best day as far as advanced forecast goes, with low winds and low sea heights. But really all week around 2.5 foot, and plenty fishable near shore for those hogfish. Before Sunday, January 28th, potentially we might get a little cold front there. Sunday the 28th at night, late afternoon. But that's been vacillating a lot, and it's changed 3 times in the last 36 hours. So I wouldn't look at Sunday, Monday too much. I would focus here on the work week because that is been pretty steady as far as the forecast goes. The forecast hasn't been fluctuating too much. And basically what's going to happen is we're going to pop over here to Mike's weather page and look at this real fast. Basically what's happening is we have a high pressure coming down. And that's what's going to cause that breezy condition, but it's also going to help us to block any future cold fronts. So this is Wednesday. You can see that high pressure is established. This is Thursday. That high pressure is established. This is Friday. That high pressure starts to recede. Saturday, high pressure still blocking this big cold front, but then finally Sunday, that cold front is going to push and take over that high pressure. But you can see that cold front tries to make it down here earlier, like Wednesday, Thursday, but the high pressure blocks it. So essentially that higher wind, that east wind that we are going to have is going to allow us to have sunny blue sky conditions and is going to block any cold front from making it here, which is nice. Going back to the weather links page, we're going to pop down to something that I'm extremely excited about. The 7-day forecast down here at the bottom. Look at this forecast, guys. Look at that. Those are 80s. Those are 8 zeros. look at the rain chances. Very low rain chances. It is going to be sunny with a high of 80 for 4 days this coming week. I am so very excited about that. And it's going to be nice. It's going to be nice to be sunny and 80 degrees, low rain chances, sunny blue sky conditions. So weather is looking up for us here inside Johns Pass at Hubbard's Marina, and we're pretty pumped about it. So as you can see, hogfish bite is going well. We're seeing big lanes, and we're going to have some good opportunities to target them this week, specifically Tuesday. Well, I mean, really even starting tomorrow, Monday. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it starts to calm down a little bit. Thursday, Friday, Saturday looks really good. But really the whole week is basically 2.5, 2 foot, and it calms down to like 1.5 foot as you get into the weekend. So some really good opportunities to get out there and crush those hogfish with us. Not a good opportunity quite yet to get out deep for those red grouper, but it's coming. It's coming. Weather's starting to break a little bit. Weather's starting to shift a little bit, and I'm excited. John Herman Sr., appreciate those 1,000 stars, my friend. Scott Flynn, what's up, buddy? Appreciate your stars as well. Now, let's go ahead and give away our first free giveaway of the night. Remember, in order to get free stuff, we normally tell you this at the beginning of the show, but I'll cover it now. Remember, in order to get free stuff, you have to comment one time on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream. Then you have to watch the whole show live. And if you're picked as one of the lucky winners, your name will pop up on the screen. We'll announce it. You got 5 minutes or less to text us your full home address to that phone number there at the bottom of the screen. That's how the giveaways work. That's how you're entered to win, is by commenting one time on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream. But you should really like the video, and you should really share the video too. So like, share, follow, and comment at least one time. But before we do the giveaway, we have a phone call from our good friend, Capt Mike Anderson. What's going on, buddy?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
A little depressed. The Bucks couldn't pull that one off.
Yeah, I heard it was close. I was still on the ball field at the ballpark, but some of the boys were watching it and said it was a good game. Seemed to be a good game anyway.
Yeah,
I missed it.
They went back and forth, and they were keeping it close. And unfortunately, it ran away a little bit at the end, and just couldn't get the ball back and make it happen. But it was a nail biter, much like the Packers game last night. That was a tough one.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm familiar with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, 2 tough ones, but hey, good seasons by both teams, really.
Yeah,
both teams made it further than anyone thought they were going to. So
exactly,
that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So
all we can do.
All good. All good. Wait for this weather to warm up.
Yep. Now, who are you pulling for now that Packers are out of it?
I mean, I'd like to see the Bills, just because Buffalo's never won one.
Okay.
And I like Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Mahomes has got a couple, and the Ravens have one. And the Lions, they're in our division, so it's hard to pull for them.
Yeah, the Lions haven't won in a long time, so the Buffalo Bills would be cool.
I'll be pulling for Detroit over San Francisco.
Yeah.
So, because Frisco's got a bunch and Detroit doesn't have one either. So just, let them get there. But I think it's Buffalo's time if they can win this game. Although the Ravens look really good. Really good.
It'll be interesting.
They look really good. Yeah, sure.
It'll be good.
Fun end of the season. And as football comes to a close, things will just keep improving in our world, hopefully. I'll tell you this. We had really, really good reports of big trout this week. Small windows to get out and get on them, but those guys that did, the artificial big trout bite was really good. Really good. Lots of fish, 20, 22, 23 inches.
Wow.
I don't know where they're all coming from. I'm thinking it's this cold, finally having a colder than we've had winter. Pushing some of those fish in from a little deeper water, trying to get up shallow and get warm. So it's good to see. Real good.
That's awesome. Yeah. Some big gator trout are always exciting for sure, and it gets the blood pumping on the flats. chasing those.
Well, it's one of those fish they eat, and then it seems like they back up.
Yeah.
They get that big yellow mouth up top, trying to kick that lure out of there, and kind of back up and just give you a great tug. And the redfish bite and the sheephead bite still been pretty strong, but to finally get some reports of really good numbers of big trout being caught on artificial, that's a good sign. That's a good sign. So
Very
hopefully
much so.
that trend will continue and kind of get better as we get into. I really like February most of all for big trout. So the fact that we're starting to see, some 22, 23-inch fish, hopefully that number will continue to grow and that bite will get better as we cruise into February.
What about the black drum situation? That's pretty interesting what's going on there. I know Ben was all tore up about it today on the radio, and it was pretty interesting. I did a little research and saw some of the articles about it. Pretty comical. This is like becoming a problem every year.
I'm not sure I understand any of it. I've been on those fish hundreds of times, and it's not something I hear. So, not unless you catch one.
I think maybe it's one of those things that they do like during their mating, right? So this is happening a lot at night where these complaints are coming from. And for those not familiar who live under a rock and don't listen to the Real Animals radio show every Saturday and Sunday morning like you should, basically what's happening is in South Tampa, there's complaints. Homeowners are complaining, calling the police because of loud music, loud bass coming from homes. But in reality, it's black drum, mating black drum schools going up into the shallows of South Tampa, and they grunt. And it sounds like bass from a car or from a house stereo system. And it's freaking people out, annoying people, keeping people awake. And it's causing a lot of issues. So much so that there's like big news stories about it right now. So that was the conversation today. And I don't know. It's I've heard it on the East Coast before, like I mentioned. We were surfing and a school of them came up on the beach and we heard them going crazy. So maybe it's just something that they're doing at night. I don't know. It's strange.
I don't know either. Maybe you got to time it right, I guess. Like I said, I've been on those big schools that we get out there on Pinellas Point, this time of year, and I've just never heard it unless you catch one and get him to the side of the boat.
And it's just
get him up out of the water a little bit. Yeah, it's just one. So,
but imagine the whole loud, school doing that in unison. It would be loud.
I still can't picture people hearing it up in their homes. I really can't.
Dude, it's loud.
It makes no sense. None of it makes any sense.
I felt it in my chest when it was happening on the beach that day. It was crazy.
Really?
Yeah. I thought we were being targeted by a weapon or something, like one of those acoustic things.
Right.
You felt it in your lungs. It was crazy. It was like going to a concert and standing by one of those stacks of speakers, and you feel it in your body. It's crazy. So I don't know. I could see it happening. I could see it if you live on the water and you're close to a bay with hundreds of black drum and they're all going crazy. I bet it would happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to deny that. I'm a believer. You guys there's people hearing it. It's got to be coming from somewhere.
Aliens.
So
that's what Mahoney said on the radio.
Aliens.
Oh man.
Yeah, Mahoney has a lot of friends that are aliens, so he would know.
Yeah, you shouldn't leave those two alone on Sundays. By the way.
I know. Unsupervised is not good. I understand. I try to get somebody to go in there with them, and I get all people are like, no, it's way too crazy in there.
No.
Not going in. So.
Oh, look, Dan the Fishman said he's heard that on his kayak before. I thought I was getting abducted. A big school of black drum swam up and started grunting and freaked him out.
Wow. Well, that's cool.
People have heard it. Interesting.
Well, there you have it. Yeah, there you have it.
So besides the big trout, what about sheep's head? What's going on with the sheep's head?
Well, that sheep's head bite just keeps improving, and it again, that's another bite that should just rock and roll all the way into February. And they should, we should just continue to get more and more females as we get closer to I'm guessing that, and maybe the spawn comes a little early when it gets this cold, but normally the spawn's in February, so that's when we see the biggest number of big females. But, that might change too. We're catching a lot. I know guys are catching a lot of fish right now a lot of sheepshead, but I haven't heard reports about a lot of really, really big ones yet. So, I would think that's going to just, again, keep improving and keep improving and keep improving. Again, this weather's perfect for it because, that it doesn't slow them down a bit. The sheephead, the redfish, the trout, they'll eat as long as that water stays a little bit clean and, they can get to those shrimpies.
What do you think's going to happen this week? 4 days with temperatures in the 80s. We've got a full moon, which is going to flush the bay really nice with some heavy, heavy tides. We got some big hill tides. We've got the full moon. We've got a high pressure, so should have some bluish bird skies. Still calling for some overcast conditions, but typically a high pressure, that east wind, we get some clear sky. And 80 degrees. We're going to go from water temperatures in the mid to low 60s in places. You think it's going to jump to mid 70s?
No, I don't think it'll get quite that high. It'll take it a little while, especially with those big tides, moving some of that water from the Gulf back and forth.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it won't get that high. But I mean, if it's sustained, you could start to creep up there towards, even the upper 60s. That's going to create a big bite. You get just a 2 or 3 degree increase in that water temp, and they get frisky. They start to get frisky. So, and again, it's the way this winter's going. It's way too early to think that would be a turning trend towards the way it'll be.
Yeah.
So we may have a couple days of it, but I hate the fact that it's on the full moon, because that could booger you up a little bit. But, you get some warming trend and some moving water, and it could get right quick. There's really something going on here, and I was talking with TJ Stewart about it because we were supposed to film tomorrow.
Yeah.
And he wanted to cancel it. And it's something that we haven't talked a whole bunch about, but it's called freshwater intrusion.
True.
We are getting so much rain.
Yeah.
That we don't normally get this time of year.
Yeah. That's
changing that salinity big time. Plus, it's bringing, all that tannic water that's running out of the Alafai and the Hillsborough and the Palm, and, down towards the Manatee River. I mean, it's a big deal, and it's kind of a game changer. In talking with TJ, who likes to fish up the river this time of year, it's got those fish all screwed up because we don't normally get this much rain in the wintertime. So, that's a whole nother curveball that's being thrown into the mix. And I didn't even really think about it until, I knew TJ was going to want to fish up the river for filming. And he was like, bro, my fish are all screwed up. Like, they don't know if they're coming or going. There's so much fresh water up there.
Because basically, in a normal situation in the winter, we don't get much rain. So those mixing zones where that fresh water meets that salt water, that brackish zone gets loaded with those snook. And you can kind of tell where that's going to be, and it doesn't move too much because it's kind of stable. But in a situation like this, where we're getting a lot of rain, we're getting a full moon this week, we got a lot of moving water and a lot of flushing fresh water out of those estuaries. Basically, it starts to mix all that water together. You don't have a defined mixing zone, and those fish can spread out, essentially, is what you're saying.
Exactly. And, and there's a lot of redfish that go up the river as well. And again, that salinity changing, as much as it's changed, that big loads of freshwater intrusion, it just changes the game. Then we have the same thing, anytime you have a drought, anytime you're kind of lean, that salinity picks up, and then all of a sudden you get a pile of rain. That fresh water just changes. It changes the salinity so much that it'll shut them off. It takes them a while before that gets right.
In the summertime, I remember as a kid, one of my favorite things was when I was fishing the flats a lot, when I first got a skiff and like kayak fishing and stuff. In the summertime, when it rained in the afternoon, well, not those crazy afternoon thunder boomers with the shelf clouds and it blows 60, but like the light afternoon thunderstorm, right? That kind of just squirts a little rain for 10, 15 minutes, and it's raining on this side of the street, but not that side of the street. You notice that little bit of fresh water can sometimes get them a little bit excited, especially in the summer when the water's hot. You get a little bit of cool rainwater, a little bit of overcast, that pressure changes a little bit, kind of makes them excited.
100%. And you hit one of those nails right on the head. Temperature change.
Yeah.
When the water's hot, if it cools down, I mean, for the listeners that have caught redfish. The difference between a redfish you catch in the fall when the water temp is 70 degrees versus a redfish you catch in the summer when that water temp's 83 degrees or 84 degrees, they're night and day. The amount of battle is just totally different. The trip I had to Charleston, South Carolina, water was still pretty cool, and those fish just absolutely they give you everything they got. They've got a ton of extra energy. So, again, in the summertime when they're in that lethargic mode because water temps are so hot, same scenario. That water temp cools down just a couple of degrees, and it's like, whoo, hey, this is cool, let's eat. And the same thing right now in the reverse. It warms up a couple of degrees. They're coming from that lethargic state into, just feeling better about their world. I mean, if you shut your air off in the summertime and you're in your house, don't you feel really good when you turn it back on? I mean, it's same scenario for the fish. Yeah. Same scenario for the fish. That's why in the summertime the dock lines are so good because of that shade. Them fish get up underneath them docks to get in that shade, and that water temp just gets a little bit cooler under there. Just makes them a little bit happier, and that's all it takes.
They're looking for that shade tree.
Yeah, man. I get it.
I get it too. Awesome, man. No doubt. Well, we appreciate it, as always, dropping some knowledge. And, full moon this week, so outgoing tide, right?
Outgoing tide, baby. Yeah, if you can get to it, if you can get an outgoing tide, it could be good, especially if some of that sun starts to warm some stuff up. It could be real good, real good.
This will be it. This is the week. That east
I'd
wind.
Try to fish that change, right at the change, that first hour and a half as it starts to go out, should be really, really solid. Really solid. Especially if it warms up, like I said, just a couple of degrees, it should be party on. Party on.
Awesome, man. Well, we appreciate it, Mike. Thank you very much.
All good. Hopefully we'll see some of you guys Tuesday night. We're out at Bartow Ford for the Real Animals Fishing Conversation. Captain Danny Allen from Beyond the Surface TV is going to join me, and I got Ingle Coolers, Bull Bay Rods, some Real Animal swag, and we're going to have some killer food from our good friends at Silver Ring Cafe as well. So hopefully we'll see some of your incredible followers out there as well.
Yep, that's this Tuesday night, January 23rd, 6 to 8 p.m. at Bartow Ford. So like Mike said, you got free food. He gives away free Bull Bay rods, a free Ingle Cooler, Real Animal swag. There's a lot of stuff to win. Plus, Captain Danny Allen is a really cool, really nice, super fishy cat. So you want to definitely join. Fishy. Yeah. I love talking to him.
It'll be a good one. Danny and I are real good friends. We pick on one another and have a blast. So there'll be some laughs. There'll be some knowledge dropped, some good food to be had. It'll be a good time. So 6 to 8 p.m. Tuesday night. Come on out and join us.
All right, my friend. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate you, buddy.
You bet. Appreciate you, my brother. Talk soon.
See you, buddy.
See you.
Always a pleasure chatting with Mike. Like you said, you don't want to miss out Tuesday night. If you can make it out there to Bartow Ford, it will be fun. And go early because the deviled crab goes quick from Silver Ring Cafe. Primo for sure. Especially if I'm there. I eat a lot of it. All right, so we were going to give away a free trip before Mike called, so we'll get back to that. Let's do our 5-hour half day for 2 guests. 5-hour half day for 2 guests. Lucky winner is, let's see, Mark Snow from Toronto, Canada. Congratulations to Mark Snow. Wait. He said, grab some delicious sushi from Ichiban up the street to help remember the delicious fish I ate. Did you say you got sushi in Canada? Is that a thing? I guess they probably have sushi in Canada.
It was probably frozen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I eat salmon sushi all the time in Florida, so it's probably the same thing, right? You probably get better salmon sushi in Canada, I would assume. But congrats, Mark. Big win on the 5-hour half day for 2 guests. We also got our 10-hour all day for 2 guests. We've got our Hubbard's Marina swag pack and the 39-hour trip to give away as well tonight. So we talked a little bit about what's going on. We showed you the weather. We talked about inshore, nearshore. We showed you photos. It's time to get into your questions. If you have a question, make sure you text it into that phone number at the bottom of the screen, and we will answer it live during the show. So let's see. We get that black drum mating call sound big time in Delaware Bay. Interesting. Well, us here in Tampa Bay apparently are freaking out about it. I know it's common on the East Coast. Like I said, it happened to me one time surfing in Northeast Florida. School of black drum up on the beach started drumming and freaked us out. It was pretty funny. We didn't find out till later that it was black drum. One of the locals told us, like, yeah, that's super common. It happens all the time. But like Mike said, he's been chasing those schools a long time in the Bay, and it's never heard it. So I think it's kind of one of those things they don't do when they're getting fishing pressure. Is there a place to get out of the sun on the Flying Hub 2 12-hour extreme trip? Yes and no. It does have a covered back. We do have a bimini top over the back of the Flying Hub 2. So yes, there is a place to escape the sun. But if you're really concerned about it, if you don't do well in the heat, if you need to be able to go down in the AC and cool off, the 12-hour extreme trip's really maybe not the trip for you. It is a seriously extreme, grueling grind, especially in the summer. May, June, July, August, September, and even into October, it gets hot. Now, there is cover from the sun, and when the boat moves around, it does cool off quite a bit, even in the summertime. But it is hot, and you need to prepare your body physically. 2, 3, 4 days ahead of time, you should be drinking extra water, tons of water. Really, just under normal circumstances, people don't drink enough water. But if you're going to go out fishing, like on a trip like that, extreme trip, you need to drink even more water than you normally should be drinking, which is like an ounce per body fat or per body pound, right? So if you're 150 pounds, you should be drinking about 150 ounces of water on average, general rule of thumb. I try to drink 2 gallons of water a day. If I'm going fishing, I'll drink even more than that. So you really want to make sure you're hydrated, especially in the summertime, because it gets hot and you sweat a lot, you lose a lot of nutrients, and it gets dangerous quickly for sure. All right, so if the fish we catch is a half-inch short, we can't keep them. I understand the rules and regulations, but isn't there a loophole? No. It is very cut and dry. Actually, in most cases, the fish we catch have to be a half-inch or quarter-inch larger because you have to make sure the fish is going to account for shrinkage. So one thing, especially on our 39-hour trips, you catch a 20-inch red grouper and throw it in the box. 20 hours later, you measure that red grouper, it's not 20 inches anymore. There's actually a pretty sophisticated formula that can account for shrinkage based on the body composition of the fish that you're catching. But on average, generally, we try to make sure the fish are about a quarter-inch to a half-inch over in most cases because of shrinkage. You catch a 20-inch red grouper at the beginning of a 39-hour trip, you get back to the dock and there's law enforcement standing there, that 20-inch fish will be 19 and a half inches. Then you've got a problem. So you really want to make sure they're oversized, not right at it or undersized, because there is no loopholes. It is very cut and dry, and they will take your boat, they will take your truck, they will leave you in jail. It's not something you want to play with for sure. Is fishing better in cold weather or warm weather? It depends on the species of fish you're targeting, and it also depends on what the trend has been, right? If it's cold and been consistently cold, those fish can acclimate themselves, a lot of species, and fishing will be the same. If it's warm and stays warm, it's kind of the same thing. If it's warm and then all of a sudden it's cold, or cold and all of a sudden then it's warm, that can kind of change things. Like Mike said this week, water temperatures have been cold. It's going to warm up. That can help a lot get those fish excited, and vice versa. If it's been warm and then all of a sudden it cools off a little bit, that can get them excited too. So trends matter a lot, and species matter a lot. More cold tolerant species, like inshore specifically, You have sheep's head, redfish, trout this time of year that kind of rise to the top, whereas in the spring and summer, everybody's targeting snook that get really active and more prolific. What are you catching lane snapper on? Lane snapper, they love shrimp. We catch a lot of lane snapper on shrimp, on small pieces of threadfin or sardines. We catch lane snapper on squid as well, but mostly catching those lane snapper on the shrimp while targeting the hogfish. But you can catch them on a variety of different baits. The next question was, are sheep's head or flounder in season? We're going to pop over to the website because I am unsure myself off the top of my head. I want to say yes. Actually, I'm pretty confident that yes, flounder are open, but we're going to double check, and I'm going to show you how to double check. Go to our website, hubbardsmarina.com, click fishing trips, scroll down to fishing trip information, and then third one down under fishing trip information is fishing rules and regulations. This brings you to our fishing rules and regulations page. You can download the app, or you can hit the visit on website button, which we're going to hit now, visit on website. And that's going to take you to the Fish Rules app website page. And up here in the top corner, you want to make sure that it says Gulf of Mexico federal waters. Then we're going to hit find a species. We're going to type in flounder, and it's going to show us exactly what's going on with flounder. It is open. It is only closed October 15th through November 30th. So it's only closed basically half of October and all of November. So it's open pretty much year-round. 5 bag limit. It's got to be 14 inches total length. So yes, to answer the question, flounder are open. And glad I remembered that one off the top of my head. But I like to double check. Plus, I wanted to show you guys how to double check as well. That website page, Fish Rules app website page, also the Fish Rules app, has contracts and agreements with FWC, with the South Atlantic Fishery Management Council, with the Gulf of Mexico Fishery Management Council. So you can feel really confident checking that app. 96% of the time, it is extremely accurate. What are the seasons and size for red snapper and grouper in the Gulf? Well, it varies from time to time and year to year. But we know this year red snapper is going to open June 1st. We know that it's going to be 13 inches, and we know it's going to be 2 per person. We know that our season, federal for-hire season, is probably going to go till around a little past mid-August. I would say it's probably going to be very similar, if not exactly similar, to last year, which was June 1st through August 24th. Off the top of my head. I want to say that's probably the season we're going to see this year for red snapper. Gag grouper season. It's supposed to start September 1st, and it could be open 3 weeks to 3 months is what we were saying. Now, we're going to the Gulf Council meeting in New Orleans next week, and we're going to hear more about the gag grouper discussion. But from what I've heard some not so great things as far as some of the numbers. Actually, let's look at it right now and see if the numbers are out, because they are holding the numbers back for some reason, which is always a big concern. Am I on the right? I am not on the right tab. Let's see. There is a fishery stuff. MRIP. Nope. Wrong one again. Sorry, guys. Bear with me as I sort through my bookmarks. ACL monitoring. Oh, there it is. All right, so we're going to take you over to the Southeast Region Annual Catch Limit Monitoring page. We're going to look at the Gulf of Mexico recreational catch landings and see updated 10/31. So they have yet to update this. Last update was October 31st of 2023. That was the wave 4 data going on the website. So this does not have any of the information for wave 5, which is September and October. It's only showing you January through August landings. You can see red grouper landings 134% or 143%. It's supposed to be at 100%. And you can see here, let's see if we can make that a little bigger. So can't make it super big, but red grouper. So first, these are waves. So this is 2 months. 2 months, first 2 months of the year caught basically almost 400,000 pounds. Second 2 months period of the year, March and April, we caught around 320,000 pounds. May, June, getting into the summer, 386,000 pounds. July, August, let's just go ahead and say they caught 1.5 million pounds. So, like literally 4 or 5 times more all of a sudden. And keep in mind, red grouper were only open the first 19 days of that 2-month period. So in 19 days, we caught 1.5 million pounds of red grouper, where previously in 60 days, we were only averaging maybe about 400,000 pounds. Something doesn't add up. Something doesn't make sense. And why did we overrun the quota by over 40% is a big question. And that is going to be answered the next Gulf Council meeting. At least I hope so. It better be. So that's what we're flying to New Orleans to find out, because if we overfished red grouper last year, that means we're not going to get a catch level increase this year again. 3rd year in a row that management has allowed that to occur. And then also gag grouper numbers they haven't put out yet, and they continue to not put out the gag grouper numbers that are supposedly already ready. And my concern is the reason they're not putting them out is because there's a problem. Because there's obviously a huge problem with the red grouper. That doesn't make any sense at all. We already talked about that in past live shows. How in the world could we have landed 1.4 million pounds, 1.5 million pounds of fish in 19 days? Where historically we only land about 380 to 400,000 pounds of fish in 2 months. We only landed 60% of the quota the first 6 months of the year, but we landed 70% of the quota in 19 days. That doesn't add up. That math does not math. So it's interesting if they published that and they were like, this looks good, well, let's put this on our website. But they won't publish the gag grouper numbers? Is it that much worse? Scary thought, right? So definitely interesting. And I will not really speak on the gag grouper season yet, because I think it's going to be interesting what's going to happen. But we've got our eyes on it, and we're going to keep hammering and figure out where we go from here. So to answer your question, gag grouper season should start September 1st and will be open for an unknown amount of time. Red grouper open January 1st. According to those numbers I just showed you, potentially would close end of April, early May. But what I've heard is we're just going to ignore that and have a very similar season to last year. So red grouper would go into like July, potentially, or end of June at least. So that's what I've heard. Scamp grouper open all year, strawberry grouper open all year. So that's where we're at on gag grouper, red grouper, and red snapper. All right, now let's do another giveaway before we answer some more questions and get too far down that rabbit hole of fisheries regulations, which is a very deep, deep rabbit hole. All right, so we did our 5-hour half day. Let's do our Hubbard's Marina swag pack. Let's see who won the swag pack for one lucky winner. Hubbard's Marina won the Hubbard's Marina swag pack. Look at that. That's interesting. We're going to pick another winner. Willie Munoz. Congratulations, Willie. That was funny. Hubbard's Marina won the first one. Does that mean I get a free t-shirt? That sounds like Josh got a free t-shirt, guys. And Willie. Congratulations to both of you guys on your big win of the swag pack. Well, there you can tell because Hubbard's Marina commented it won randomly. So that is truly a random name picker. It has proved itself tonight. Don Schuett, appreciate those 400 stars, man. Paul Thomas, appreciate those 500 stars, my friend. Harold Ramsey, what's going on, buddy? Scott Flynn, thank you as well. John Herman Sr. with a big 1,000 stars. Thank you guys so much for those stars as well. Now, let's see here. What other questions do we have? What do your captains do to keep busy when the weather is bad and we cancel trips? A lot of them have been busy with dry dock lately. They have been crushing it at dry dock because the weather is bad, because we've had extra time on our hands. They've really been hammering it, and we've got the decks done pretty much. We've got all the painting done pretty much. We're really looking good. If we had gotten the metal we needed in a timely fashion, we'd pretty much almost be ready to come home next week from dry dock, much earlier than expected. But because we're having some holdups with some of the parts, most likely going to be first week of February home and be ready for our February 16th 39-hour with plenty of time. So that's kind of what's holding us up right now, some metal, but still very confident in being home on time, if not maybe even a little earlier. So holding out hope that we might be a little earlier. We might be able to add some 10-hour trips, but right now planning on being back on time. But they are crushing it in dry dock as well.
Really quickly, we have a lot of questions tonight and not a lot of left time.
Yeah.
Do you want to go ahead and do some rapid answer questions?
Let's do it. Rapid answers. What size naked ball jigs are best for the half-day trip? 2-ounce naked ball jigs, or the 2-ounce banana jigs by Rogge's Rigs. I know it says no cell phones on trips. I can assume for GPS purposes, are you allowed to bring it to take photos as long as you keep it in airplane mode? No cell phones means, unfortunately, no cell phones. But we have the crew with their phones more than happy to snap as many photos as you want, and we send them to you absolutely free. Any mackerel or kingfish around? No, not right now. Water's a little too cold. We should see those as we move into like March, April-ish, depending on weather. Starts warming up really fast. We could see them as early as late February, but generally March is that time frame we start to see the mackerel and kingfish. What is the best season or weather to flounder fish? Cooler months. So as we get into the next few months, it is a good time to get those flounder for sure. They spawn this time of year at our nearshore artificial reefs. Then they start to swim back inshore February-ish into March. And we start to see some really big ones. But you can find schoolie-size flounder around pretty heavily right now. Any local beaches producing whiting? So whiting is one of those fish that we don't target specifically, and it's not one of those fish that people come in the office saying, look at all these whiting I caught. So I don't know the whiting temperature too well, but generally they're almost all year round in the surf around almost anywhere up and down the beaches. Now, they are a little bit more common certain times of the year. This time of year, we see more silver trout. Summertime, spring, we see some good whiting numbers, but you can catch them in the cooler months too. Just got to get past the silver trout. We see a lot of bonnethead sharks out there in the surf this time of year as well. Is there any movement on extending the jetty at the pass? No, none whatsoever. I was told last time I brought it up in a meeting public record that if I was told if I brought it up again, I would be asked not to return to future meetings. So, yeah, we're pretty much at a total dead stop on extending the jetty. But sand situation is basically 95% there. Essentially, the money's there, permission's there from DEP. DEP got us permission to start dredging quicker than the county gave us permission to start dredging. But county is signed off now. DEP signed off. City's behind us. We're waiting for signatures from Army Corps. DEP, FDOT, all these people have said yes. We're just waiting on Army Corps, unfortunately. What can we expect to catch on a full-day trip in early June? We'd be targeting those lane snapper, mangrove snapper, red grouper, maybe a hogfish, but hogfish are more common in the cooler months. Is parking free with a handicap sticker? Not in private lots. In John's Pass, they're starting to charge for handicap parking, even in private lots, even for handicap parking. So they tell us to tell you to park in the garage, $7 all day parking. Are there any suggestions on how long Red Grouper will be open this year? We kind of mentioned that already. I thought it might be 4 or 5 months, but it seems like from what I've heard, it could be as long as 6 to 7 months. But based on the numbers, technically it should only be 4 months. But from what I've heard, they're just going to ignore the anomaly, which is a great way to fix a problem. Just ignore it. I've seen some videos, there are pool noodles on the railings. Yes, some people like to bring those nice cushy pool noodle holders because they can't hold their fishing rods up off the rail, and if they need to put their fishing rods down, they need a nice cushiony soft surface instead of using the foam in the front of the rod like God intended it to be used. So I don't use the pool noodles. A lot of people do. It is a little bit more comfortable if you're going to be leaning on the rail, but I don't recommend leaning on the rail. I recommend standing up. But it is somewhat helpful to put your hooks in there. Some people find them super useful. I personally don't think you need them. I personally don't like it myself, but it is totally your call. You don't need them. And you really don't need them on shorter trips, 5, 10-hour trips, 12-hour trips. Really, it's just 39 and 44-hour trips that they're used. When you win one of the fishing trips on the live show, can you gift it to somebody else? You can technically not, because it's not transferable, but we work with you if you want to gift it to someone. That's no problem generally. You can't like resell it or anything like that, but it is a donation gift certificate. There are a few stipulations behind it, but it's all pretty clearly laid out on the certificates. And the stipulations are not super inflexible. They're pretty laid back, but we just try to keep it fair for everybody. That's the goal. All right, let's see here. What are you catching on the 5-hour trips? Same thing. We normally catch those gray snapper, porgy, sea bass, and really targeting those hogfish this time of year. I'm from Denver. Do you charge people to go who want to go on the fishing trip, but just want to go ride along? So on our 5 and 10-hour trips, we have ride along fees. So if you're going to go fishing and you want to bring your other half, maybe your husband or wife, and they're not interested in fishing, they can go as a rider for half price on our 5 and 10-hour trips. On longer trips, we don't have a rider fee because those are advanced anglers trips, and we don't want extra bodies on the boat who aren't actively fishing. But on our 5 and 10-hour trips, it is kind of common to have people who just want to ride along and not fish. Let's go ahead and do our 10-hour all day for 2. One lucky winner for 2 guests, 10-hour all day. Let's find out who won. Do a few more questions, and then we'll wrap this thing up. Mike New. Congratulations from Sanford, Florida, checking in and winning that 10-hour all day for 2 guests. Remember, you got 5 minutes or less to claim your free trip by texting us your full home address to the phone number at the bottom of the screen. All right. If I was to book a private 10 or 12-hour trip for 12 to 14 people on the Hub in the summer, how far out and how deep would we be fishing? The Hub can take more than 6 passengers up to 20 miles from the demarcation line. So we can be 20, 30, 40 miles from John's Pass, but we really can't go super deep with more than 6 people on the Hub. On the Flying Hub 2, you can take 7 to 14 people at up to 100 miles from the demarcation line. So the Flying Hub 2 is unregulated as far as how far it can go virtually. So the Flying Hub 2 is really the one you want to go on to get deep. In the summertime on the Hub, you could go deeper and fish 35, 40 miles and get a chance for some of those red snapper if you did a 10 or 12-hour trip, but you would need to take 6 people or less on the private charter. in order to avoid the regulation. What are you all catching on your... Oh, we already answered that one. We got them all? Nice. Rapid fire always works. So thanks for all the questions tonight. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the show as always. Hopefully you always enjoy the show. Remember, also, guys, we have the show again next week and every Sunday night at 7:30 p.m. Hopefully we'll see you every Sunday night at 7:30 p.m. Hopefully you'll remember to tell a friend. Don't forget to share the show. Tell a friend and invite them next week to join us. Again, every Sunday night. Don't forget as well, we're trying to do nearly daily videos on our social media channels, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and even some Snapchat. So make sure you follow us on our social media channels. We're going to tell you what days are best. We're going to tell you what's biting. We're going to help you pick the best weather day to have the best possible experience out there on the water. Don't forget as well, we've got Final Friday coming up this Friday. We've got our barbecue contest coming up this Friday at Final Friday. It is also my birthday celebration as well, so hopefully we'll see you this Final Friday. Again, January 26th. We're going to be giving away free food, free beer, free drinks. We're going to have the barbecue contest. You can win $300 for first place, $100 for second place, and the Hubbard's Marina swag pack for third place. We're going to be doing drawings and giveaways in the shop. If you come in and spend $10, you get a raffle ticket. Every $10 you spend, you get a raffle ticket. If you spend $1,000, you get 100 raffle tickets. Real simple. So the raffles are going to be good towards trips as well. So you got raffles in the shop, you got free food, free beer, barbecue contest. It's going to be a blast. There's a John's Pass wide party, multiple live music stands and bands. There's a pub crawl all around John's Pass as well. Final Friday is a blast, and that's every last Friday, every final Friday of every month. So join us, Final Friday, January 26th. Don't forget, Tuesday, you can join Capt. Mike Anderson and Capt. Danny Allen at Bartow Ford. That's 2 days from now, Tuesday the 23rd at Bartow Ford. Free food, free prizes, great time out there as well. So lots of cool stuff going on around the pass, around the area, and every Sunday night you've got this Bad to the Bone show to join. So tell a friend, follow us on social media, and come out and go fishing because the weather looks really good this week for that nearshore hogfish hunt. So hopefully we'll see you out as well. Don't forget Don's Dock. We've got tons of crab. We stocked up heavily for Seafood Fest. Didn't sell through our inventory all the way, so we're going to have some stellar deals on stone crab. We have a bunch of what they call floaters, which is stone crab that have molted freshly. So the meat is a little bit smaller than the shell, but it tastes the same. In my opinion, I grew up on floaters because that's what crabbers give to their families and sell what they call the hard crab, which is a little bit harder shell, a little harder to crack, but the meat fills up the whole entire cavity of the shell. So a floater is just a little less meat in the shell, but you can buy more of them. They're a lot cheaper. Floaters are like $10, $12, $14 a pound, whereas medium hard crab is $25 a pound. So much cheaper. You still get the same meat, still tastes really good, and we're going to have like 50 pounds left over, and we're going to be blowing them out. So killer deals coming on the stone crab. We've got oysters, we've got mussels, we've got lobster, we've got octopus, we've got fresh fish, tons of stuff at Don's Dock Seafood Market. So stop by and see us this week if you want some fresh seafood, or maybe go out on a half-day trip, catch some hogfish, catch some gray snappers, stop by Don's Dock, grab you a lobster and some stone crab to make you the good meal. We also have fresh caught shrimp and a bunch of other stuff over there as well. So stop in and see us at Don's Dock Seafood Market as well. I think I covered everything I needed to cover. We gave away our 5-hour trip, our swag pack, our 10-hour trip. It's time to give away the pièce de résistance, the 39-hour trip. Let's see who won our 39-hour trip for one lucky winner, and then wrap it up. Carl Clink Scales, congratulations from Atlanta, Carl. You've got 5 minutes or less to send us your full home address to that phone number at the bottom of the screen, Carl. Now, also, supporters Appreciate you guys. Thanks for being supporters. Your supporter after show starts promptly at 8:45 p.m. So we'll see you in the supporters after show in 10 minutes over at our supporters page. If you want to become a supporter tonight, it's only $4.99 for the month. Josh just dropped the link in the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream. We'll see you all there, and hopefully we'll see you soon at John's Pass inside Fish Famous John's Pass at Hubbard's Marina. Y'all have a good night, tight lines, and don't forget, if you're too busy to go fishing, you're just too darn busy. Thanks for watching, y'all.